our answers, but we don't have the questions. So therefore, he was talking about Hamapel and things like that. They didn't really fit together too easily. Not too easy to understand what he was talking about. So we're coming over here to number Siman Zion. Let's see, what time is it? Okay. All right. And on Siman Zion, he starts by saying the topic is Be'inyan Hazivu Debir Rishona de Tikkun Kli V'Rucha. Okay, for this would be normally the second day of the God shows. He's also mixed in that Leah also has a sequence also that's going on. Let's hear what he has to say. He says, "Inyan aziv devia rishona de tikkun kli v'rucha mavur b'divrei harav b'harbe makomos," and he says Hakavanot and this several places. There's lots of disagreements here. So he says Zoma Sa'aretz and others in the Shem and Sasam. Bekama Kushas, there are lots of different questions about exactly how this Kli and Rucha goes together. Of Vestiras V'Divra, so Bekama Kushas, Vestiras V'Divra Rav. But Mefarshim Nesha'arach Momim, so they really don't know how to get out of this. Besugyazu. Yun Sham so see the Shem and Sason, he says, the Shekos of Sof Davar, the Ain Biyad, the Varuk Hamas Svekos, I really can't explain all these Svekos, Sheyek Be'inyan, the man of a Kli, the Nuk, Vashem Yair Inenu. But HaKerem Shlomo, the Kerem Shlomo, he calls it, V'neshach V'zera Be'inyan Shalarucha, Yesh Bo Severos Svekos Rabos. So apparently, this, what's in there is lots of doubts. Nivar kan kamen nekudas be'inyan zerato elas halomdim. So in order to help us out, he's going to give us some background, try to help us. Number the first one, he says atikunem anaasa b'yisod הנוק. So let's look inside the yisod of the nuk. He says, so he says there are three different bechinos in the yisod of the nuk. Mavur be'etz chaim. He says avadecha sheyeshnam shlosha bechina be'inyan man should be yisod הנוק. Now let's start looking at the man that's inside. Now the man is lashon. If you look at the yisod, it's lashon panemius. It's going to be panemi. So one thing is talking about the man itself. So he says this second one is the kli of the base of rechem of the womb, which is actually the yisod of the nuk. And in so in that kind of that kli, you're going to find the man. So the tikkun for this is made through the hands of Ima. So we had that. That's pretty much the place that we were at when we went back into the MILUIM here. Says not to become the shlishi who bechinas rucha the shavek baila bebir rishon, and the second one is this concept of this rucha. Now there's a little note here. He says number aleph. He says gavar uskarna bedrush gimel. The after lashon the rav bekama bekomas mora katzas shtei hatikunim the rucha v'yadayim the ima is really hem inyan echa. They're really the same thing. So he says putting the rucha in and putting the rucha's got to come from ima, and I guess he says that into the zeranpin whatever. So he says the ima hem inyan echad. It's already been explained, and he says RASHASH, and he said the tzedek v'shalom, etc. So right away you have a difference of opinion as exactly what's the difference between the Yadayim and this Rucha. So let's go on. So now we're going to explain these one by one at a time. So he says, there are three different bechinos of mochim animshachim al hanuk that come to the nuk. But naknim dechida b'kitzara, that seder hamshachas and mochin nazun. Let's talk about that. So he says, and he says, Shekavar, he says, you've already explained this in Richos, La'el. So, number bet. He says, the Gavarn is Bayer Sham, the Seder Zechab and Niskar Khan, the order that we're mentioned here, who rock b'mei hachol is we're only really talking about, just to give us an idea, that we're only talking about weekdays. Shal zivug hu the Yaakov Arachel. He says abazuna gedolim. So this, this whole idea here, seder hu shoyne. It's going to be different. Okay, so fine. Let's see what he says. So he says, hamochin da'ak kolalim tsalam hamochin da'yasa. So when we look about the mochin da'ak, so we're going to have a tsalam, a complete tsalam of mochim that they come from yasas. And he says, what's yasas? So again, the first one is really the operant in here. It's mas. So ma de ma uma de ben. So that's going to be, he says, those are the mochin that come from yasas. They're male. They're going to be denominated by ma. But salam mochin de debuna, which is going to be the ben de ma, they're bens, and ben de ben. Mitzalam mochin de abba benivdach of the parts of a zeranpin. But salam mochin de iba nivdach of the parts of a nok. But the chidim is pasha the mochin bezer anpin. So this is going through a little bit we know, but so say it again. V'lokeach zer anpin la'atzvel is chedek hamochin shalosh shehem the tzalam hamochin the yasas, which once again is the ma de ma and the ma de ben. It's ma dominated. So female of the male and male of the male. V'al yadam, and so through this way nigdal b'nishlam kumas ach shalo. So this builds up his backside. So then he says, let me get this up here a little bit more. All right, can't make it. The yas is the ma de ma and the ma de ben. Bechlalos hu bebechinas chasadim. So generally speaking, ma goes with chasadim. Ela shenechloch lebechinas chasadim begevuros. So he says the ma de ma is the chasadim of the chasadim, I guess you might say. Or if you say the letter dalad means which is, hama, which is the ma, and then you have a ma, v'hu b'china chasadim. Then you have the ma de ben, because ben is the gevurah aspect, hu b'chinas gevuros. V'chabetzalam amoran de devuna, which is the ben de ma and the ben de ben, b'chlalos hu b'chinas gevuros. So generally speaking, that's what it is. Ela shenechlo the b'chinas chasadim b'gevuros, but once again, you're going to have opposites inside of the singularity. So you have Gevura, but it's a Chesed Gevura and Gevura. Haben de ma, hu b'china chasadim v'hem kaf base, and now this is an important part. He says the ben de ma, okay, the ben de ma. So we're talking about ben, but the male aspect of the ben, or the Chesed aspect of the Gevura, hu b'china chasadim, they are chasadim, V'hem kaf beis osios peshutos, and those are the 22 simple letters. So that's the ben dema. So once again, we're talking about the female aspect, but it's the male part of it. The next part is the ben de ben, hu b'bechinas gevuros. That's going to be the female. V'hem chamisha osios mansepach gefulos. So without my explanation, so you have two different things. You have 22 letters coming in from the ma side, which is going to be the chesed side. And then they have 5 letters, the mansepach, which is the kefulos, are going to come on the gevurah dika side. So you have these two different elements going on here. So he said, now he says, the nuk receives 2 different radiances. Shalamochim. Ha'achas b'zer anpin, one comes from zer anpin, and nosa the b'devrik nekef achrei ha'chozer shalom. So one of them is this. So he says ha'ara bilvad. So this, remember, is only ha'ara. It's not the essence of the light itself. Bilvad shalamochim shalah. So now he's telling us that what comes through the body of Zeranpin is going to be a ha'ara that comes through that opening. So it's like shining a flashlight through a hole. V'chem salam hamochim de imas, which is the salam of the mochin of ima. The ben de ma and the ben de ben. So here we have the panoply or the layout of the tzelem that comes of the mochin that come into ima. That's going to be the bens. V'hashenis be'ima, but the second one, that's the first one, comes through that opening in the back of Zeranpin. V'hashenis me'ima v'nesenis lo as atzmai samochim be'ezador mita. So now we know on the second day, this we're talking about that's part of the confusion. Is if you're talking about the Kadshos, this will be the second day, the beginning of the second day. Say, Hanosen is lo as atzmos emochim be'ezador mita sheniknas manai the imacha be'ima mochim shebesochom, which is the ben deman, the ben deman, and mispashet betoch hanok, and that goes now into the nook. So he maha'aras from the radiance of those 22 letters, osius and peshutos, once again, and he helps us out here, and he says that's the ben dema, which is the chesed side, shekabela bezer anpin, which comes from zer anpin, who represents chesed. Let's say shemekabelas bezer anpin nivna binyan gufa, that builds up her body, is coming from the 22 letters that go as that. I'm not sure what he meant to say. He says a ha'ara that comes through, and the ha'ara is broken down into 22 letters, and those 22 letters are going to build the gufa of the nook, besod atbach. Now we know how atbach works, I guess, and the question is always in my mind, and I'm looking for the answer, is what, this is how it's done. So he says that's the fact. Well, exactly what Atbach does, other than it's a cipher and it changes the letters around, or it makes it into switches, I can't really quite tell why I choose Atbach, or, how they work. I really don't. Of a klaus hakaf base osius miskabed b'yisoda. So now the kolel of these 22 letters, which means the essences of all of them, come into her yisod, mehem nisakin chetzi klira yisod denuk, and from them you have a tikkun for half of the kli of the yisod denuk. So that's the vahu bechinas the daled v'shir. So this is the kind that sort of a doorway with a hinge. So excuse me. V'hi bechinas daled v'shir rishon should be yisod shehem vav yud, which comes into the number 22, which tells you, again, B'tzir Os Dalet Olakov base. So once again, he says that's actually what it is. He says, I guess that's what he's saying. He says that the 22 letters, how do you get from 22 letters? Obviously, the gematria is 22 of Yud. So I'm just, let's just mark it and just notice it, that when it comes down, it looks like, I guess, Vav Yud, and inside of that Vav Yud somehow, 22 letters can be to be distinguished. So something like that. So he says it's a ha'ara of the mansapach, which is the ben, and that makes her mochim. So the mansapach makes her mochin. We're really examining the man that's in the nukva. He says, that's the man. So this is what she has. She has 22 letters which make up her, they said, her goof, and another 5 letters, which is a total of 27, makes her mochin. And then the last sentence is of a klalusa miskabes b'yisoda. So the kolel of these 27, behemba b'chinas the man should be yisoda. That's the man that's in her yisod. So he said it very nicely, and so cleared up, at least for me, a little bit there. Let me see if I got. Okay. So now we're moving into the time of the dormita. Now, there was something confusing about this. I thought that he said that the mansapach, comes in as a result directly in and brings in it brings in the actual mochim from Ima, the essence of the mochim, not ha'ara. But at the end of the last one, he says that a ha'ara from the 5, the ben to ben, he's talking about a ha'ara there, not the atzmos. So apparently that there's a ha'ara from the kaf zayin. I don't know, for the whole kaf zayin, one for mucha, one for goof. V'chein la'achar mikan be'esa dormita. Now we come to the marmda gives you mispashne ba atzmos akaf zayin osius. So then you're getting the whole essence of the 22 letters. Before that was a ha'ara, which built, I guess, the chitzonius. And now you're getting the essence of it. Azai mechlalos akaf beis osius, the peshut is the azad delas v'tzir shnaim. So you take the 22. So when it comes directly into the nukva, now the 22, which is that the dalas v'tzir, he says the door, the 2 lines of it, you get a second one. The nishlam klira yisod shalah b'tzir mem stuma. Ma'amansapach na'asabechin a man de sham, and from that, so that mem stuma. Now umehabansapach, and he adds the mansapach in it too. So I thought we got the mansapach because he said 27 up above it. So I thought we got that already. So, but at any rate, first you have a ha'ar, the ha'ara builds guf and moach, I guess. Then after that, you have the essence of the whole 27, na'aseh bechilas man d'sham, and now you have the man that's inside of it. So the man comes directly from Ima. The structure apparently comes from Ha'aram. So now let's talk about this. He said, so the first bechina, which is the Maim Nukvin, should be Yesod and Nuk, that is in the Yesod of the Nuk. Nizbaro Shehem Ben de Ben. So it says, what is it that you have here? The Ben de Ben, which is the Hey Kavuros Mansapach. Shaklalusa Miskabes be Yesod and Nuk, Vuhu Bechilis Aman. Now, it's just there's 2 different things going on here. It's got me confused a little bit. You have 22 letters coming in, and now he's going to focus specifically on the Ben de Ben, because that the Ben de Ben is the part that is the Mansapach, and it is the Mansapach itself that is the Man. So I am a little bit confused about it, but let's keep going on. So try to see how it... I have the basic idea, but what happened to the 22 letters that came? I think he mentioned that the 22 letters come at the same time, which is the Ben de Ma, maybe? I'm not sure. So let's talk to the second aspect, he says, which is the Kli, which is the Yesod itself, which previously said, well, it's the womb. That's the Ben de Ma, Kof Beis Osia. So now he's explaining it out better for me. The 22 letters, they make the Kli, the Kli of Yesod. Sheklalusa niskabsel b'yesod, that in the cons again as sod is a kolel, so their kolel comes to the kolelim or the kolalos of those 22 letters. Let me see again. A kaf base sheklalusa niskabes b'yesod, so therefore that's the yesod, and the aser sham bechinas chosa, and it makes a seal there. So we have another place that's actually in the text of this. He says, that's made through the hands of Ima, which we're having a little discussion here about what does that mean. So the Ayin Shefa Hakavanot, the Drush Gimel, they had something that Hakavanot, the Hamshachas Hakavuras, the Hakavanot here is what? For the streaming of the Gevuros, Sheshorshim b'Yadayim, that have a root in the Yadayim of Ima. He says, Commotion is Bayer Hadaramochin de Ima Beklalos Heba Bechidas Gevuros. So he says, Sheshorshim b'Yadayim de Ima, in the hands of Ima, which I thought he said earlier was her nai, but I'm not sure. Commotion is Bayer the Mochin de Ima Beklalos Heba Bechidas Gevuros. So let's go on a little bit because we're running out of time. So this is a different topic. So now we're trying to understand how the 22 letters and the 5 letters form up in the Yesod of the Nukva and are able to become the place of the Man, which the Man apparently is the 5 Osios Kefulos. Harucha hanimshechas b'biyah rishonos of the Acham bekan olim zun lechek abba ve'iba. So now that this is all prepared and there's man there, Zun goes up to the chek of Abba Ve'iba Besod Chupa, and they're like in a marriage chamber. Mizdavgim Sham Zivug Debir Rishona. And that's interesting. Maybe that's what the idea of our chuppah also is that we're actually uniting with the chek Abba Ve'ima at the time of the wedding at that point. So now the now she gets the ruach. Why is a ruach goes with ma, always goes with ma, and this is the man part of the deben. The ben. So now the rucha we're identifying as the beginning of the aspect of the ma the ben. Now a zivug is going to take place in the Kad Shaus. It's the third day. This could also be in the first day, depending on how you're looking at it. So he says, which is that one. Nosin laza as hamadama. That's when he gives her the madama. We'll pick up this last part next time, and welcome back. And hope you're not too worn out. That's a hard trip.
I am.
Yeah. Okay, so
to protect you.
yeah,
Go
okay.
back so soon. Thank you.
Right.
Good.
Call to.